Hey, CJ Stroud was named the NFL Rookie of the Month, which is pretty cool stuff around here. Here's yesterday's press conference. A lot of really interesting stuff that CJ said. So, first question, John McClain asked about CJ going against two of the best pass rushers in the league in linebackers TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith.
Yeah, I mean, I have trust and faith in my guys, and my job is to get the ball out, play on time, and um, do whatever it takes to execute. We're not. He's a great player, both 90 and 56. Definitely two dogs, and even up front, their D tackles are really good too. But this isn't the first time we're playing against really good DNs too. But I think he's probably the best defensive player in the league, other than Michael Parsons and a couple other guys that are standing out in the league right now. But got to be aware of him. But at the same time, we got to have confidence in what we're doing, and they got to play us too. Like, we're not just going to lay down and just submit because he's the best player. We're really good players on the side too. So.
Yeah, look, the offensive line is banged up. Josh Jones, who I think had gotten better each week over the course of 3 weeks, playing his natural position of tackle and being in the system, he's injured with a hand issue. Laramie Tunsil likely out. Titus Howard still out. And the Texans signed Jaron Christian, who's a better pass blocker than run blocker. I think that CJ is somewhat safe, in the passing game. We'd love to get the running game going, but I'm not so sure that whoever is playing left tackle is going to be a huge plus in that department. I'll also say that, Kendrick Green at left guard has played a lot better than I expected. And I think he played a lot better than I know a lot of people in Pittsburgh, where he came from, would have expected. So I'm quietly optimistic. And I know I'm saying it out loud while claiming to be quiet. But I don't know if cautious is even the right word yet. I'm almost somewhere between quiet and cautiously optimistic that the Texans may have finally gotten it right with Bobby Slowick and the coaching staff on actually someday coaching a good offensive line, because some of these guys are playing above expectations. My God. And yes, I am in that mode right now where pretty much anything he says is going to be the best thing that's ever been heard. I will make no apologies. Offensive Rookie of the Month. Next, he was asked on what it takes to grow as a quarterback in this league from week to week.
Just routine, getting back to your routine. Just it's not really rocket science. It's what you make it your own. Everybody kind of has their own recipe for success, and me personally, it's just my routine and turning every week for that team we're playing. And just working, just working hard, just being hard on yourself, being critical, being accountable on everybody, including yourself, and holding everybody to a standard of what it takes to win. So, that's what it takes.
Again, there, I think, kind of matter-of-factly talking about routine, which is something, yet again, we've talked about this a bunch, is that he kind of understands and gets a lot of things at the age of 21 that it takes many of us like 20 years to figure out. And when it comes to routine specifically, I think that this is something that, Belichick and other great coaches who have a lot of championship success have talked about, is that if you have a good routine, you don't have to have superhuman efforts either in the playoffs or for specific games week in and week out in the playoffs. It's a matter of like who can do the best job of optimizing a routine. It's the hardest thing in the world to do as an athlete too, because you got to prioritize sleep. You got to get your film study in. You got to be sure you get some relaxation so you stay loose enough. And so if you're wired to be somebody that goes 18 hours a day, you got to figure out how to dial that back. And he's just, I feel really good about his ability to manage all that stuff in the future. And he's been in big moments and big games before. Okay, he was asked about sharing a leadership with Jimmy Ward. Let me play a little bit of that just to refresh your memory.
I told him I'd take something off your plate. I know you got a lot of stuff on your plate. I'm going to help you out as much as possible. And I just want you to go out there and just play, man. Just do your thing. It's backyard football. Be a playmaker. You've been doing that your whole life.
And here's CJ's answer.
Yeah, Jimmy's been amazing. He's helped me a lot. Not only him, Jalen has helped me, and a couple other guys who are vocal leaders like I am. And I didn't want for me to always be able to say something when the team is asked to be brought up, and because I feel like then I just become a voice. And when other guys say something, it means something too. So
yeah, boy, if CJ at any point thought that it was going to be up to him to motivate the entire team and to have maybe like a really close personal relationship with guys on the offense, on the defense, everything, it just I don't. That's not usually the way it works. It's always a committee affair. I remember talking to Kyle Brady about the Spygate era Patriots because Kyle got there the year after the scandal was broken. You know, when they were on a tear and on a rampage trying to go undefeated. And Kyle said, you know, I asked him like, how did you guys avoid that distraction? And Kyle said that the leadership, the veteran leadership on that team was so strong that it was never a concern. It never had to be talked about. And I think that's when the leadership comes down to, yes, the quarterback and the best players on your team should be good leaders, but you absolutely have to have really good leadership in every position group. Ideally, at least one veteran in every position group that walks the walk, talks the talk, tells the young guys how it's going to be. And okay, next question. CJ was asked about how people on the offensive line had said that CJ sees the bigger picture.
I don't want to. I'm not a person. Y'all know me. I'm not a person to toot my own horn, but I don't know, man. I would say I'm mature for my age. I kind of get that from how I was raised and kind of my background and really this is how I've been since I've been a child. So I don't know. I just feel like I kind of understand the purpose of not only football, the plays we're running, the scheme we're trying to get done, the execution, how important little details are. And it is a testament to like the football I played beforehand, and then just kind of I think my mindset, how God kind of wired me, was to be really locked in on the little things. So I think little things turn into big things. Like you win little championships every day, little successes, those turn into the big ones. So, and that's why I talk about routine. Like I don't want anybody to think like I'm coming here every day doing something super crazy to like try to play as best as I can. I kind of just stick to what I know. And work really hard at that. So I think that's just the big picture. It was just a little successes going into the week, trying to win those and then make it big. So.
Okay, that's the part I really like when he talks about how you don't need to come in and have a superhuman effort. That's where I think sometimes sneaker and Gatorade commercials have done a disservice to kids and what they think a workout needs to look like, because it doesn't. Like, the fact of the matter is, the boring bad workouts are almost more important than the super inspired workouts, because it's those days where you don't feel like working out, where you come in and you're just not strong for whatever reason, or you're not running well and just kind of gutting and grinding through that. Those days where you don't feel inspired, like there's no Fort Minor playing in the background in your head or anything, then that's the stuff that's where championships are made. So I like that. The other thing too is in terms of him and his maturity, which you guys know I've gushed about his maturity. I think it's really important to point out, because I know this has been a hot button topic at points. You know, like Dion this offseason caused some controversy by saying that on offense he wanted players who had strong nuclear families. He didn't care about defensive players. He liked guys that had single moms, all that stuff. But that for offensive linemen and quarterbacks, he wanted guys with really good, solid, not broken up families. And I personally, I grew up with a single mom, and I get pissed off at comments like that, because honestly, yes, there is a correlation. There are a lot of other things that go along with that. It makes certain childhood issues more statistically probable, but it's certainly not absolute, and it's not 100%. And of course, like, I would like to think that I was this way. For some kids, it ends up really making them stronger and tougher. And if they have a really strong presence as a mother and a good role model as a mother, it can end up really making the kid tough in a lot of ways, but B, also giving that kid a different perspective and a lot of empathy for other kids who grew up in adverse circumstances. So I think CJ is one of those kids that, you know, yeah, he had a rough go of it in a very, very unique way. So I think he's got a certain perspective and maybe understanding and empathy for other players and guys his age that other quarterbacks and leaders might not have. And it's just a matter of, you know, what you do with your circumstances. So I disagree with Dion's take on that. Okay, CJ was asked about when it started clicking for him and how much pride he takes in setting these milestones.
Yeah, our first team meeting with the team, D'Amico, his big point was protect the team. And my first drive in a Texas uniform, I threw an interception, and of course it was a crazy to 30-26. Like I was young. I mean, I am still young, but I was a lot younger when I am now. 30-26, man, just lick your wounds. If it's there, rip it. If it's not, check it down. play smart. And I learned from that moment, and I learned from other moments that I had little nuances where I should have took check down there or done something else. So just learning. And I think in college, Coach Day definitely held me to a standard because he knew I could see the game well, I could read coverage, I could anticipate really well, and he always told me, like, you have what it takes to not throw interceptions, so use that. And that's something that I take pride in, is just not putting my defense in a bad position. And even against the Colts, like I felt terrible for fumbling. I got to put their hand and squeeze it on my chest, pause. But, yeah, man, I definitely got to just protect the ball. My bad.
Okay, I just got that. Squeeze it on my chest, pause. Okay, so I think Ryan Day looked at CJ as a guy, much in the way that Kyle Shanahan has talked about this. Kyle Shanahan bristles a little bit sometimes when he's asked about his system or how he has his quarterbacks play, because every quarterback's different, and there's some quarterbacks that are going to be first read guys. There's other quarterbacks that can go through the entire progression, but aren't really good at reading coverages. Then you've got other quarterbacks that might be able to read the coverage and understand exactly where to go to with it, but not realize or understand that, okay, sometimes that corner doesn't play cover 3 properly, or on this certain situation, he's going to play it differently. So there's different levels of quarterback play, and your offense is going to be constrained by what it can and cannot do. So and Ryan Day understands that. So this misconception that somehow the Ohio State offense is the Ohio State offense and that's all there is to it is just wrong on the very basis of different quarterbacks are going to have the system tailored to them. And CJ was able to do more than some other quarterbacks who came before him. I also think that CJ really echoes there something we've heard from guys like Tom Brady, which is that it's the mistakes you don't make that are as important as the great plays you make. Discretion is the better part of valor is the quote that always comes to mind. And, the Hippocratic oath, first do no harm. Just don't hurt yourself first. Don't do the things that set you back. Because no matter how good a quarterback you are, it's really, really hard to come back from 3rd and 25 after you take a ridiculously long sack. It's really hard to come back within a drive from an interception. So like all these little things, it's really cool to see CJ not just kind of know them academically, but really seem to absorb them from week to week. AFC Rookie of the Week. Bam. Next, he was asked about the wide receivers on this team.
I think like Neek, Rob, of course Rob's a vet. Neek, Hutch, like Tank, Metch, like those guys already had a great feeling of the game. And then you added Bobby into the situation where he comes from a system of being really crisp, precise, and intentional with our route depth, our angles coming out of routes. And I think you put that with the knowledge that I kind of present. I don't know everything, but I know some stuff. And then you add the tenacity and the kind of the feeling of the game, those 3 combinations. And then, of course, being and our rest of our coaches and their input, that's all a recipe for success to get everybody better as practice goes on and just building chemistry. So I think we definitely have a good feeling for each other now going into week 4, and we're just trying to build into that.
Steve Smith said something really interesting this offseason when he was talking about his fit in a Gary Kubiak system, because Steve Smith was not a super precise route runner, and he recognized that in a Kubiak/Shanahan system, Bobby Slowick system, they really, really put a premium on precise route running. And you think about how much does that help a young quarterback like Brock Purdy or CJ Stroud, especially if they're detail-oriented themselves, that they don't have to worry about which receiver is where necessarily. If it's consistently being run the same way, they know where to go the ball based on landmarks, based on timing. Are they thrown to the hash? Are they thrown into a certain window? All those things, the receiver is going to be on the same page. That's what's really cool to watch and see. And honestly, a lot of times it takes a while for that stuff to congeal and come together. And this has been one game where we really saw it all work for CJ Stroud and these receivers, but Tank Dell and Nico Collins have really latched onto this, and like there's no signs at all that they object to it, that they're thinking I just got to be able to go up and get the ball or something like that. They're cool. They're being company men when they need to be company men. And Robert Woods has already been in the system, and obviously he can probably preach the importance and the potential of it. So that part of it's really cool to see. All right, now he's being asked about building a relationship with D'Amico Ryans.
We've had honest conversation, just what we want to make this team, the standard it takes, and the calluses you have to build before you even line it up on Sunday. And that's OTAs, training camp, then that's practicing before you play on Sunday, building that toughness. So when it comes around back in November, those tough games in December, where it's make or break your season, you're calloused up and you're ready to go to battle against those tough opponents to win it all.
Okay, I don't know if I've ever heard that term before. You want to be sure you're calloused up. That's a great way to put it. Doesn't look as good in print as I'm imagining it out. Just callous up, but like it doesn't sound like something that would be good on a motivational poster. But it's something we can all remember, right? Remember you're a kid and you shook your uncle's hand and he's a brick mason or something, and you just feel like, oh my God, boy, I hope I'm a man like that someday. Here, Brandon Scott is asking him on why it's important to have confidence and the mindset that the opponent needs to respect you just as much as you respect them.
Yeah, we men. You know what I'm saying? We ain't laying down for nobody. Just as important is to respect the other team, it's just as important to respect yourself and know that you are one of the best to do it in the league.
That's just such a huge thing in life, whether it's football or not. It's very easy to believe people's assessment of you, and sometimes you start to believe it yourself, and it limits you. And you just have to be in the habit of not accepting that. And I think CJ obviously has that ingrained in him. So congratulations to CJ Stroud, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Week. I'll be doing my preview for the Steelers game sometime in the next couple days and another couple of reactions. All right, everybody. Oh, I'm Seth Payne, by the way. I played for the Texans. Please like, subscribe, tell a friend, write a Reddit post about it, whatever it might be. I love it all. Thank you very much.